mindset. Anybody who knows me, who's been following me for any length of time, will know that I talk about mindset a lot. Even though I do a lot of other things, I help people build their businesses. I'm a leadership coach. I help leaders lead better. But for me, mindset really undergirds everything I do, because it doesn't matter how much training you attend, it doesn't matter the books you read, it doesn't matter the skills you're trying to acquire. If your mindset is wrong, it really will hold you back. So I really think mindset is so important. The way we think um, directs our life. It directs the results we get. So over the next 4 weeks, I hope you'll join me every Monday, and I'm going to be talking about mindset, how to cultivate a mindset that serves you rather than sabotage you. Now, last week, was it last week? I did a webinar which I called Breaking Up with Self-Sabotage, and during that webinar, we were talking about all the usual self-sabotaging kind of behavior that people exhibit, like procrastination, like imposter syndrome. There were a number of them that we talked about. The feedback I got was, number one, I had such a huge turnout. I didn't do any paid advert for it. I didn't even promote it as much as I promote some of my other events. And we had over 65 people register. So that, and every time I do this, second time I've done the self-sabotage webinar, and every time I run it, I always get huge numbers registering. So I thought this is clearly something that a lot of people still struggle with. The ways in which we get in our own way and stop our own progress and stop our own success. It's tempting to think it's lots of other things around us that is holding us back, other people holding us back, but very often the one person holding you back is you, and it's very often the way you're thinking. I say to my clients that often the problem is how you're thinking about the problem. If we will just get our thinking right, it will solve so many problems. So today I wanted to talk about maybe something that I think will be a good starting point. So during the self-sabotaging webinar, we looked at a number of maybe subtle ways in which we sabotage ourselves that most people might not necessarily readily identify. So we talked about the more obvious ones like procrastination and self-sabotage, but there were some more subtle ones that I talked about as well. And one of it was having a victim mindset. We talked about having conflicting commitments. We talked about repetitive cycles of failure, where you just recognize that for some reason you just seem to go round and round a particular issue. Maybe it's in your relationship. I'm sure you've heard people that say, oh, I'm just unlucky in love. No, it's not a question of luck. There is something going on in your subconscious. There's an underlying reason there why you always seem to get attracted to the wrong people and end up in the wrong relationships. So we talked about repetitive cycles of failure. We talked about negative self-talk. And we also talked about comparing ourselves with others. So that those are some of the more subtle ways in which we self-sabotage. So today I wanted to start with the first one, having a victim mindset. Anything to do with mindset, it can be very subtle. Why? Because most people that operate in a negative mindset do not even realize they're operating in a negative mindset. To them, they're just being realistic. They're just saying it as it is. They're just being honest. So let's talk about having a victim mindset, where you tend to think, oh, why me? Why does this happen to me? Or you just see life as happening to you. The kind of language that people use when they have a victim mindset are saying things like, see what you made me do, right? So maybe they get upset. Maybe a parent gets upset and deals with their child in a manner they know they shouldn't, and they end up saying, see what you made me do. Or it could even be with a spouse, and a husband and wife, or whatever, partners. They act in a manner they shouldn't have acted. You pushed me to it. That is having a victim mindset, because you see life as happening to you. You don't recognize or fail to acknowledge the part that you have to play. And here's the problem with having a victim mindset. A lot of people will not want to admit that they have a victim mindset, but if you find yourself in that place where you're blaming others or blaming situations for whatever is happening in your life, That is absolutely a victim mindset. And as powerful as your argument may be, where you might say, well, can't you see, the economy is bad. It's not my fault that my business is not prospering. The economy is bad. Everybody knows the economy is bad. And yes, everybody knows the economy is bad. But trust me, even in this economy, there are businesses that are still thriving. There are businesses that are still prospering, right? The problem with having that sort of mindset is you empower whatever it is you put behind your because. Whatever you put after the because, you empower that and you disempower yourself, right? So I'm not doing well in my business because of the economy. You're empowering that over yourself, right? So whatever it is you blame, because that is what it is really, whatever it is you blame, you might not want to look at it as blaming. You may prefer to say it's the reason. Somebody asked me that question once. What's the difference between a reason and an excuse? And yes, there are times where you have a real reason for not being able to do something. But for me, where you persistently for a period of time allow that reason to keep holding you back, it's now an excuse. I'll give you an example. I want to train. I want to retrain as a trainer and coach, right? And it's going to cost me £5,000. I don't have the money in my account. I can't deny the fact that I don't have the money in my account, right? I don't have the money. But if year after year after year, 5 years later, you see me, hey, Mary, how's it going with that coaching thing? And I'm still saying to you, I can't because I don't have the money. That is just an excuse. Because there are lots of things I could have done to save up, to earn more, to cut my costs, to raise that £5,000. So when you find yourself constantly being held back by whatever it is you're saying is holding you back, and you're not making the effort, or you're just not able to overcome that, I'm sorry, but it's now an excuse. And if you disagree with me, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I personally believe that we all have the power to make the changes we need to make in our lives. I really believe that. And when I start to work with people, the first thing I say to them is, you have to be prepared to take 100% responsibility for your life. 100% responsibility. That completely goes against a victim mindset. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're going to create the life of your dreams, the business of your dreams, the career of your dreams, which you're absolutely able to, I believe that we're creative beings. We have the power to create our world with our thoughts, our choices, our words, and our actions. With those 4 things, you have the power to change your world, irrespective of the external conditions and circumstances going on around you. So when you have a victim mindset and you say, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. When people talk like that, very often they're referring to things outside of themselves. It's because my children are not, they're not obedient, or they're not whatever, If only, that's another one. If only my spouse would be more understanding. If only my boss would be more supportive. If only my children would be more obedient. If only the economy was different. If only, if only, if only. So you're waiting for external conditions to change before you start to take the steps that you need to take to create the world that you want for yourself. And it doesn't work like that. Any change that needs to happen in you first. That is the most important change that needs to happen. Very often, and James Allen talks about this in his book, As a Man Thinketh. He says, human beings are always eager to change their circumstances or conditions, but they are less eager to change themselves, and they therefore remain bound. Wow. Why? Because even if you try and manipulate and change the circumstances around you, it's only a matter of time. It will be replaced by another set of circumstances. And so you're always under circumstances. Circumstances continually determine what happens in your life. And James Allen is saying, until you change yourself and how you think and how you act and your own attitudes, You will always be going from one hope, one wish to another, hoping things will change. And when it changes, something else comes up and you're just constantly waiting for conditions around you to change. But the real empowerment comes when you decide to change yourself. When I'll give you an example, and I've asked her for a testimonial, so I'm hoping she will give it to me, because every time I give a testimonial, I want to do it with the client's permission. I don't just want to put out something because somebody said it to me. So I'm not going to mention her name because she hasn't given me permission to, but at least I can report to you what she said to me. So this lady attended this Breaking Up with Self-Sabotage webinar I was talking about. And she, by her own admission, tends to think negatively, but she never really saw it as speaking or thinking negatively. As far as she was concerned, she vents, right? She vents, she just says what's going on, right? So if there's traffic and then you had a flat tire and this, that, or the other happened, just like, oh, the traffic is so bad. Oh, on top of that, I had a flat tire. And it's just one thing after the other. And she was saying that it even affects her relationship, because her husband is completely different. And when she starts on this venting spree, he just kind of switches off or rolls the eyes or all of those things. And then she was saying to me after attending, because one of the things I said to them at the Breaking Up with Self-Sabotage webinar, I said, when you find yourself thinking in a manner that is holding you back, one thing you can use, a strategy that you can use to get yourself back on the right track, because some of these things are so subtle, it's difficult to identify. One thing you can ask yourself is, how does this thought serve me? You see, because when we are in that place of, for instance, I can't because, right? I can't do it because of whatever. Your because is real to you. It's real to you because you're looking at your past experiences, you're looking at your past results, you're comparing that to what you want to achieve right now, and you're like, they don't match. Mary, when I'm saying I can't, I know what I'm talking about. Look at what I've created in the past. But I'm saying to you, your past is your past. Your past is not a reflection of what you're capable of. Your past is just a reflection of your current level of awareness. The level of awareness you had as at the day, the time you created that result, that's all that result is telling you. It's just like when I work with young people and we talk about results. And yes, all my kids went to grammar school, so please don't think I'm downplaying formal education. But I'm very, very intentional in helping young people understand whatever grade you get is not a reflection of what you're capable of. It's just a reflection of where you were at that time. Maybe the amount of effort you put into studying, maybe the state of mind you were when you were in the exam hall. That is all that it reflects. So when you look at your past results or your current results and you say, because of that, I can't, you're limiting yourself to your past. You're limiting yourself to your past. But to you, it's real. Have you ever met people who say, I can't, and they haven't even tried? They haven't even tried something. You just maybe make a suggestion to them, and their first response is, I can't. How do you know you can't? You haven't even tried. The reason they're saying that they can't is because they're looking at their past results and they're judging themselves based on past results. And I'm saying to you, your potential is bigger than your current performance. Is bigger than your past performance. And something I'm passionate about is helping people close that gap between current performance and potential. But you're not going to close that gap if you keep tying your future to your past, if you keep tying your ability to your past or current results, right? So when you find yourself, for instance, thinking, I can't because, and your because is very real to you because it's the results you can see right now. One of the ways I encourage you to challenge yourself is ask, how does this thought serve me? I want to be a trainer, a speaker, a coach. I can't do it because I've never coached anybody. I've never trained anybody. I stutter when I speak. I speak with an accent. All these are things, natural things that could go through somebody's mind. My question to you is, how do those thoughts serve you? If they don't serve you, listen, I know it can be like, Mary, are you asking me to pretend that I don't stutter when I stutter? No, I'm not asking you to pretend. But what I'm saying to you is, if the thought does not serve your goal, if the thought does not serve where you say you want to go, then you need to discard it, irrespective of the evidence you have in front of you. I know one of my mentors was a stutterer at school. He didn't finish high school. He was a dropout, right? Today he's a multi-millionaire. He was the brain behind the John Maxwell team. I heard Rachel Hollis say once that it's too late for us to come up with any sort of excuses why we cannot go for whatever dreams we have. It's too late, because there are too many people that have gone ahead of us. If you read autobiographies, you will see that there are too many people that have gone ahead of us that started from a very disadvantaged position, and they went and they still did it. So sorry, it's too late for you to make those excuses. So what I'm saying to you is, in spite of the evidence you have in front of you right now, discard that thought, because that thought is what's holding you back. Not the stuttering lips, not the fact that you speak with an accent, not any of those things. The thing that's really holding you back is the way you're thinking about those things. So discard that thought and find a thought that serves you to replace it with. And that's the technique I teach my clients. That's the technique I use. Some of you know me, my background is law. I was in the legal profession for over 30 years. When I was going to set up Candor Academy, people said to me, are you crazy? You've been building your practice. I wasn't employed, I was self-employed. I was running my own law firm. You want to leave that which you've built for over 15 years to go set up something in a completely different industry? Yes, because I am the asset. I am the asset. The asset is not Daniel Francis Solicitors. I am the asset. And when I say take 100% responsibility for your life, that's what I'm saying. When you start to do that, you will realize that the asset is really you. What's going on here? That's where the real powerhouse is. So going back to my story, my client said, she remembered that question that I encouraged them to ask. How does this serve you? She said, I heard your voice in my head, she said. And she chose. Remember, I said there are 4 things that determine the results you get in your life. Has nothing to do with anybody or anything else around you. It's all to do with you. How you think, the choices you make, the things you say, and what you do. Thoughts, choices, words, your actions. And they're all within your control. For me, I find that really empowering, that my success in life does not depend on anyone or anything around me. It depends on me, right? So she decided, you know what, okay, she said, I said to them, if you play that thought to its fullest potential, where is it going to get you? And she said, I thought to myself, if I play this thought to the fullest potential, I'm going to have an argument with my husband. And you know, she was real. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Okay, I don't want that. So she decided to take a different thought and a different course of action. And she was saying to me, the weekend ended up being a really great weekend. They went for a picnic and they did all these things. Now, the evidence around her that had caused her to start to go on that path that she would normally go did not change. It didn't change. The evidence did not change. The only thing that changed was the way she thought and what she chose to do and the action she took. This is what I mean when I say we're constantly looking to blame the things going on around us. It's because of this, it's because of that. No, that's just a victim mindset. You are empowered. You are empowered to decide, yes, I'm not going to deny what's going on around me. No, but you have the power to decide how you're going to respond to it, how you're going to think about it, and what you're going to do about it. I'm going to share the story with you. A few years ago now, actually, this happened, but I've never forgotten it because it's really left a huge impact on my life. So I don't do a lot of physical. Then I've changed. Those days I didn't used to do a lot of physical exercises. I used to go running once a month, maybe on a Saturday, and it had to be only in the warm months. Who goes running in winter, right? That was my perception. That was my paradigm. But anyway, this particular February, it was February, I was starting to really feel out of shape. You know how when you're going up the stairs, you start to pant and you just know, okay, I'm not quite in shape here. So I said to my husband, I'm going to go running tomorrow. It was February. It wasn't snowing, it hadn't snowed for weeks. So I got out of bed the next morning, got dressed, got to the front door, opened the door, and guess what? It was snowing. It was snowing. And I said to myself, what? Today, of all days, I chose to go running. It's snowing. Oh, well, okay. I'll just have to go next Saturday. Because it did not even occur to me that I could go running in the snow. It's just not what I do. It just was not on my radar at all. But as I turned away from the door, started to go back in the house, I just kind of happened to look outside the streets, on the road on the other side of the house. And I saw not one, not two, not three, four people running in the snow. And I thought, what? If they can do it, why can't I? Went back upstairs, put my hoodie on, put my gloves on, because I know my fingers tend to get really, really cold. And I went running. I did the whole run, the normal stretch I will do. Now, the reason that stayed with me since then, this was in 2017, I will not forget because it was the year I wrote my book and I put the story in my book. The reason that has stayed with me is because that day really, with something as mundane as going running in the snow. Now, for you might be thinking, duh, of course people go running in the snow. But for me, it was just not the way I thought at all. For you, it might be something completely different. It might be the idea that you could be a millionaire. That could be something for you that is completely out of your paradigm, out of your comfort zone. So don't laugh at me. You must have yours. So think about yours. What are those things that for you is just like, it just never occurs to you that it could be possible for you? But that day I realized that it's not the external conditions and circumstances of our lives that determine our results. It's not. It's the way we think, it's the choices we make, it's what we say, it's what we do. You see, that day I could have gone back upstairs. So that day I realized I could have gone back indoors. And said, it's snowing. And my husband then was on the same level as me. And he could have said to me, I thought you were going running. And I would have said to him, it's snowing. Do you know what he would have said to me? I understand. You can go some other day. Because that was where we both were. He could have patted me on the back. There, don't worry. It'll be better. There'll be next Saturday. But his understanding would not have gotten me the result I wanted. So listen to me. If people are saying to you they understand, right? They understand why you're not making the progress you want to make. You've told them the reason, the excuses. You've played the victim game with them, and they're telling you they understand. They're not necessarily being mean. They do understand. But my question to you is, which do you want? Understanding or results? Understanding or results? Because that day I could have gotten understanding, but I chose to get results. My goal was to go running, and I chose to do it. So that's what I want to leave with you today. I would love to have your comments. Let me know what you thought about what I said. Do you disagree? Do you agree? I would really love to hear from you. And also, if you have any questions that you would like me to address at the next live broadcast, please put it in the comments. Whether you're watching this live or on replay, I would really love to hear from you. If there are any specific areas that you're struggling in, or you know people that are struggling in, right, in terms of how they think or they approach their lives, I would really love this to be a time where I serve you. So I would love to hear from you so I know how better to serve you. But thank you to those of you who joined me live today. Really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next Monday. Take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and remember, if you say you can, you're right. If you say you can't, you're absolutely right. It's entirely up to you. Bye for now.